Good afternoon. I am Mary. I am going to show you how SMS works and how we can operate it. So I'm going to share my screen. You see, right?
Yes.
Excellent.
Correct.
Well, by way of introduction, our system has 4 components. The first would be the app, which allows us to have the charges. The second will be the network of chargers. The third is going to be the database, where all this data on the loads, the transactions arrive. And, finally, the CMS, where we will be able to visualize all this information. The CMS operates with 2 types of user, which will be the partner form and the associate form. The partner is going to be the figure and the users who are going to manage the CMS. And the associate will be this figure, who will be able to be included in the distribution of payments. We are going to see it later. The moment we enter the CMS, we will be able to see this first dashboard, which will allow us to filter data. Maybe we can see the June data. It will give us the total profits. It will give us the kilowatts consumed. We will also be able to see it in a graph. This is also profit, and we're also going to be able to see our stations on a map. Similarly, we're going to have dashboards that are going to allow us to have information. Here we can also see parts of the earnings by month and also the kilowatt usage. And we can also see it by year. Here what we are going to have is a way to visualize the chargers by station. The CMS will allow us to review the status of our chargers. If I go to the super cool station, what I'm going to have is all my guns and I'm going to be able to see which one it's going to be charging. For example, here we have a gun that is charging right now. We're also going to be able to filter them by charging or not charging. And the same in these stations. And in this section we're also going to be able to see the same information, but for all guns. And we're also going to be able to filter by station. We will be able to filter if they are charging, if they are not charging, and also if they are out of service.
Can you interrupt an upload from the CMS?
Yes, that's right. Now, here we have the partner's dashboard, and one of the many things that the CMS can do is control the hardware, view the dashboards, and review the transactions. So, these buttons here take us to other sections of the same dashboard. And here we can see some numbers of what we have registered. Here we have the associates, which was what I was telling you about an associate. It is the figure that can have a part of the distribution of costs per load, and also what we are going to do is put groups of associates where we will be able to carry out and define how we are going to distribute these loads. We're going to do an example here, so you can see how it works. We will be able to set the price we want. And also, this part here also takes into account both VAT, which is going to be removed from the price of the charge. That is not utility that we are going to have. This part, which is the part of the payment processor, which is also not a utility either. And then, what I can do is make the distribution of the payments in order. So, for example, if I put Manuel Garcia and I can set from a charge, 100 euros, that is going to be deducted. We are also going to remove the part of the payment processor, which is per transaction, and we can say to Manuel, that rest will account for 50% of the load. And Peter is going to get his 10 euros. And so on, it can be by faction or by unit. I can put Peter in twice, and we can say that is going to get 10 euros, and then he's going to get 20% of the total. If after this distribution we have money left, we will have the owner of the remainder to whom the rest of the load will go after the distribution, and also this custom or the one that corresponds to the owner of the electricity. As we well know, in some parts of the world it is illegal for us to sell the electricity part, so the electricity part will go directly to that associate and will be paid to electric company. And that also has to do with the price that we are going to assign to the GUNA. The way in which the dynamics of our prices are set has to do with this. I am going to have the cost of the load, which is the cost per kilowatt. Which, for example, here it is 2 euros. This is the cost that is going to go to the owner of the electricity, and that is going to be paid, and we are going to multiply it by one factor. This factor is going to be our service, which is going to be part of our utility. Not, and also it is not.
You can define how the price as it is in euros has to be put by factor and multiplying by the cost.
It is correct. Because of what I was saying about the EC, and one of the advantages of the CMS is that this administrator is not defined in euros. That is, we could be charging dollars, Canadian dollar halves, anything. And this is the unit that is going to be charged when processed through the payment processor.
Okay, right, here if you allow me to elaborate a little more. This module is basically to manage how income is going to be dispersed. This is very important and it has to be on a factor basis. Ruben, let me explain why. 1. This is a platform that is global. So basically you define the currency and everything else you program here to factors so that the system does the calculation and then disperses those resources. Due to particular issues in certain countries, regulations, the owner of the premises to which the name of the electric company bill is located is basically the only one who could be billing the energy distribution service. Which is not the same as selling energy, but what we are selling is a distribution service that, at the time of dispersing the income, there is a factor that is defined for the bill to be paid, the direct cost of energy to the power company, and then the dispersion to 1. The costs of the payment gateway, and 2. The associates who were involved in the model. As we have discussed, there is the possibility of handling different models. Right? A model would be that there would be, basically, the owner of the electricity bill, a partner, right? At least, and what leads to the payment gateway, which is basically discounted in each transaction.
No, yes, very clear. Why you have to do that, nothing more. This one asked why it was based on a factor and not on a quantity or a percentage, but, of course, at another time just a particular doubt, that is why it is a factor, not for there to be universality ready. This part of the parking cost, how it is, how they know or how they define the time the car was parked.
It's for now, and it has to do with whether the car is connected to the gun or not.
If it is not connected, it does not count as a parking cost, or the money by command considers it so.
That's right. This parking cost is per hour. So, for example, here we have 120 for 1, and 50 per minute. So it is 2 euros per minute. And here, for example, here we have 4.4. The price per kilowatt would remain, right? And that's the way the system is working. The customer is going to arrive, he is going to charge, he connects his gun to the car, he starts charging, and from 1 minute after the charging begins, what is going to happen is that the parking time will start to run. A notification will appear in the app that will say if your charge is over. We remind you that there are parking charges, and it is also this way for us to make sure that the customer is aware of their charge and that they did not leave their car stopped.
Okay, perfect.
And, for example, if I save this group of associates, here I can also go back in and see what we had defined perhaps in the group of associates that we had, who gets the first load, comes in order. It can be first it is the turn of the Manuel. Then Pedro, and Manuel gets the rest and also has to pay for electricity. Okay? We can also see the stations. This was what I was telling you, that this little red button is the one that allows us to stop the charges at the station. We can also do it by magazine, and we can do it by gun as well.
I could generate a payment scheme and then apply that payment scheme to the different partners. In other words, instead of generating a payment scheme for each of my clients, generating a payment scheme, I don't know, like the model, so to speak, and then each of my clients put them in that payment scheme. Or do I have to define each customer one by one?
You don't need to define the customer one by one. Here our price unit is the gun. What do I mean by this? I too, when defining prices, can define schedules. So, I can generate a schedule, for example, and I can define if it is going to be Friday, Saturday and Sunday, and it is going to be during the vacation period. This, I don't know, on the 1st of July. From July 1st to August 30th. I can set dates. I can put it without a date. I can put when I want this price to be applied. For example, the price we had set of 4.4 euros per kilowatt. I can put in dates of entry and exit times, and I'm going to put in my group of associates. And I'm going to select the guns that I want to put in that group, so I don't necessarily need to put all of them. maybe we say GBT is the most common car plug in Asia and Latin America. So I can put it more expensive. That also allows us that if we have chargers that have two guns, these guns can have different prices. Understood?
Okay, right.
And, well, I mean, here we have the associates. We also have the users here. And we can also see what associates and users we have. We too, a partner perhaps, managing their partners, can disable the account. And if we disable it, for example, this one, we will still have the user's information registered in the CMS, but the user will not be able to enter. We can also edit things. Here we also have more directly the part of the periods, which is also an important part, because here we have defined where our prices are. And here, in the transactions part, we're going to be able to see both the cargo transactions and also the part of the price that's charged. So, for example, actually, here's someone charging right now at the Supercool station. We will be able to filter by order number. For example, if a customer may have a disagreement, the order number is the unique number that is assigned to each load. Then, after its upload, the ticket remains in the app and they can have it there. And there we can identify what charge it was. We can also filter by guns. We can filter by station and also if they're charging or not charging, and we can also filter by dates.
Kilowatts are not seen.
Not here, but right now I'm going there. We can download them in the report. So I can filter my loads here. I can also see only the ones that are charging if I'm interested. Here we also have a gun filtering part and a station filtering part.
So you did it to create conflict between energy and the different prices that could apply.
That's right. If we want to see the kilowatts that have been charged, what we can do is go to the report. And in the report, apart from this that we have here, which would be this data, we also have the data of the kilowatts. In this part of the transactions, what we can see is the date, the order number, the gun ID, the station, the status if it is charging or not charging. This cart number is an identifier that the customer puts in their app. In other words, the customer can register their car, register the gun that their car uses. And if he recorded it, it's going to show up here. For example, here there was a user who registered his car and we can see the car number, the voltage, the current, and these which are the cost of charging and the total cost of the service and also the time. Between this and this one, you will notice, for example, that they are equal numbers. But they are not necessarily the same because the cost of charging corresponds only to the kilowatts charged and the total cost of service already corresponds to the parking. And if I go to the report, I can download much more information. For example, I can download the user. I can download if the card I use was a debit credit card, the associated cards, the VIN of the car, which depends entirely on the connection between the car and the charger. There are times when the car does not give the charger, for example, the VIN number. Here too we have the kilowatts consumed. How much was from the payment processor? For example, load percentage is also the percentage of load with which the car ended. And this, for example, also depends on whether the car is, if the charger was AC or DC. Because if the charger is AC, because the connection between the car and the charger is simple, the car does not provide you with how much charge it has, among other things.
I cannot select this data to appear to me without seeing the report, but rather as are in the dashboard that you were showing me before.
In the dashboard, no, it cannot be put. Well, of course it can be programmed. We would have to review the development, but right now it is as it is defined. And for example, these are also important. We can add kilowatts of credit to the user or money. So these two columns also let us see if maybe the user brought kilowatts and all his load was with credit money. we know that there was no transaction that was reflected in the payment processor. Or if maybe he brought, I don't know, 2 kilowatts and paid for the rest of his load. We can also see it. That is, with kilowatts he brought 2 kilowatts and with real money he paid for the rest of the load. Now for example, and also here we can do this same dynamic of generating the filters, of selecting the guns that we want. If we download the report, we will be able to see all this information. And when it comes to downloading them, it will give me the option to download it as CSV, which is a format that is used that opens at Excel, and I could also here my accounts and save it as an Excel without problem, or for example here I can do my sums or for what is needed the same and save it as Excel is a very noble format, and we can also download it for as PDF that here is going to give me the report of the cards and well I not as a detailed or flexible like the CSV. If I put all these columns they will not be seen then maybe in the PDF, you have to be a little more careful, because the information can overflow. Rather that it does not fit on the sheet but here I have all this information that one can have.
I can see it.
I can also see the user. In fact, here in the user we also have much more information. That is, we have the user ID, which is a unique identifier number. We also have the email of the user with whom you registered and full name. And if the user gave billing information in the app, they will also appear here.
Okay.
And well, these three are quite similar, they have the same information behind them. Maybe the one that we would be a little interested in is this one, which is the report of the dispersion of payments. Because here we will be able to see what would correspond to each associate who is in the group of associates. So, here we can see him by associate, that is, in total, Peter Escudero has taken all the money for the month, because he is defined in the super cool group as 100%. We will also be able to see it in groups. I mean, I have this group here, which I told you was 100%. This is the new group we made. And it will also tell me the same information that we already had in the group of associates. But we will be able to see it globally, because by group, excuse the redundancy.
Yes, of course.
And here we're going to be able to see it by order number. So, for example, we have this order number here. We have the total of the load, which I think is the load that you're charging. How long? And here it's like the important part, which is how much it's going to cost you. And we can also see in one place the cost of the schedule. So, all of this that we already defined earlier, the group of associates, the dispersion, the schedule, in different tabs. Here we can see it by load. And we can also download these reports. And here we have them. Here too we have the part of the users. I'm going to skip this part right now. Here we have the part of mobile users. When a person registers in the app, enters through Google, Apple ID, or registers by registering an email and password, it will appear here and here we will be able to review it, and we're also going to be able to see if it's charging or not. I mean, here we're seeing that the 3 number for core is the person who's charging. We can also see by user how much they have consumed and also how much they have spent. And we can add kilowatts, kilowatt credits or money. Let me see if I find any, and we can also give the data. Maybe this will be easier. That is, I could also register a user here on the platform and the user will be able to enter the application with those passwords. Then for example, we can go to I register my user here and I can put kilowatts or money on it. So I have how many it has, which right now has 0, and maybe I'm going to say, well, I want to put it, I don't know, 3000 is a lot, 30 kilowatts. Or for example, the user on his first charge we are going to give him a free charge of 25 kilowatts courtesy, or it can also be done with the money.
And here you will have it that the moment it finishes its load it will be discounted, the application will be updated.
Correct. Now, when it comes to registering a partner in the CMS, the user with whom you register has all the permissions set and he will be able to register more users or associates and they will not have permissions they have to put them. From here then it will depend on what the type of user the permissions they may have. You can download reports that will be seen. For example, in this download reports if you do not have the permission the user will not see the button if you want.
I want to know all the things it has and when we go to use it, maybe we need a training stage or something like that. But right now we want to see everything he carries in a more general way.
We're almost done. So, and here we can manage the permissions. And here we have this part that, for example, would be very important, because this part of the default values allows us to change the Stripe keys. If for some reason the Stripe account that the partner has with Stripe changes or they want to find a better CPT or we can change these keys and these keys are the ones that direct the protocol. That's right. And it's as simple as changing them. This is also a permission that is very important. If it doesn't have it, it doesn't appear. Here we also have the default values. These default values. They are simply values that the partner could suggest. That is, they are the ones that I have here and that are the ones that appear when I go to a group of associates but the person who has the permission will be able to change. And also what we can do is change the body of the ticket. That is, when the user finishes an upload they will be able to see the upload in the app, but the ticket will also arrive in the email and we can change the body. We can also put an image if we want to put the image of ShePower VA to show up at the beginning and that would be it. These are very general, which are the languages that the CMS supports. Depending on the partner they can also be put. They can also be added themes. And the user, even if we register him, can change his own password.
I don't know if anyone has a billing issue as would be seen to the CMS only.
For the part of the payment gateway the transactions we do not do invoicing, for that would be the part of the reports and also, if the user has the tax data on the app, it will appear in the report then from here you can access that information that would be separately and the payments.
For example, I am the one who has the network and I have to register. I imagine with Stripe I don't. If it is correct and then everyone else, the payments fall to me and from me they are dispersed to the associates. Or to you as a platform. Or how that part works.
That's right, that's done through Stripe Connect.
Does Stripe take care of dispersing payments as we define it?
Yes.
Even you?
Yes, that is, for example, if the partner has a Stripe account and has registered partners, the partners can register in Stripe Connect and then the payment dispersion is done.
And now for the application part. Would you give us the same application that you have with our image?
Yes, that's a fact. We can make the application with your image.
How long does it take?
If we have all the resources, it varies. 2 weeks. But it doesn't take much longer. Where it takes us a little bit is for Google and Apple to accept them in stores. It takes more or less a week already having all the assets.
Hi Maria, how are you?
Any questions?
Well, no, basically no. I think we will have to see it now, yes, in action to check this. What we require above all, I think that technical support is important and well that we would have as I tell you to see it already in action, so not for the moment, no.
Doubt you Pablo generated one for me. Maria, how would this part of the support be? That is, if a customer has a problem while it is being a load, can generate a report, a call or who attends this part?
At the moment at the Super Cool station, one person is enough. We have a person at the station who is the manager of the station and who is supporting people with the loads, and if there is a problem they call me and I am always on the lookout.
No, that is, yes, but for example we for the gasoline network, that we have the support messages that customers request from the would reach you would reach us or what it would be like.
I think that would depend on how you want to define your way of operating. not for example if you want to put the application with your own. For example, on your own operation and brand and all that. That is, you can link in the app support section a chatbot or that you have linked to a phone number to call. And also, for example, you can do is register a person or a chair that is part of the support team. On the partner side, a user may be monitoring these loads from here from the CMS.
Okay, it's that seeing your application. If they have a part that says support, then as part of the integration we have to define our part and type of support. Thank you, Pablo.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all very much, and then, are we still in communication?